So you cannot say men are superior to women. And you cannot say that men and women are the same. Because the foundation principle is that of Trinity. Men and women made in the image of God have a common origin and a common destiny. They have been made to co-create, to co-rule, and to co-steward creation. This is not a man's world. This is not a man's world where women are sort of afterthoughts. No, this is God's world. And when He made human beings, He made them male and female. I'd like to take a couple of minutes and move to the heart of this book. And it's a chapter that I call The Maternal Heart of God. We see Jesus sitting on the hill overlooking Jerusalem, and we hear this plaintive cry, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who killed the prophets and stoned those sent to you, how often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing." This is the plaintive heart of God, and it is the plaintive heart of a mother. Where did a mother's heart come from? We talk about the father heart of God. We talk about that all the time. But the father heart of God is rooted in the transcendence of who God is. Where does the mother heart of God come from? It is rooted in the transcendent nature of God. Now, lest you accuse me of being a pagan, I want to make a distinction between a metaphor and a simile. I am not saying that God is a mother. That would be a metaphor. And that is a pagan idea. But the Bible speaks about God being like a mother. And that is a simile. We don't have time to go into all of it. Rembrandt caught this in his painting of the return of the prodigal son. You all know the story of the prodigal son. Look at the hands of the father in this painting. Are they the same? Are they? No, they're not. They are not the same. The one on the right hand is thinner, more delicate. The left hand is thicker. Do you think somebody with the skill of Rembrandt could have painted two hands that looked alike? He certainly could have. This is no mistake. What is he saying? That the father heart of God, God the Father, has a maternal heart and a paternal heart. Where does female come from? From God. Female is not second class. Female does not have to disappear to be significant. No. John Piper says all things exist to demonstrate something of God's infinite perfection. And what does female show the world? If we had time to unpack this, we would see that female demonstrates God's compassion through womb love. We would see that God's sufficiency is modeled through nurturing breasts and God's protection through mothering arms. My wife studied to be a lactation therapist. And every night she'd come home from her class and she'd say, "Darrow, I can't believe what I learned tonight." And I say, what did you learn? She said, I can't believe that you could study the female breast and not conclude there's a God. And each night she'd come home with one new thing that she'd learned about female. And one night she came home and she said, Darrow, I can't believe what I learned tonight. They're doing research on lactating mothers. And they put a foreign substance into the mother's body to see what her body will do. And she said it's absolutely amazing because the mother's breast will produce the antibody for the baby before her body produces the antibody for itself. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. God's love is self-sacrificial love. And when he made female, he built into the female body something to demonstrate the nature of his self-sacrificing love. Thank you. I mean that. This is what I've just said is absolutely incredible. The word economics that we use so frequently, we normally think of it as money and profit. The word economics comes from the Greek word oikonomia. And it means to be a steward of the house. The house that we live in is God's house. His creation is his house. And we are the image of God, and we have been made male and female and male, to be stewards of his house. Oikonomia means the management of a house so as to increase its value to all of its members over a long period of time. Oikonomia is to benefit the larger community over time. But the opposite of oikonomia is chromaticus. And this is the manipulation of property and wealth to maximize short-term exchange. It focuses on individual consumption. What do we have in the world today? Chromaticus. Maximizing short-term gain for personal consumption, and that is why we are in the mess that we are in. We no longer have a biblical concept of economics, of stewarding the house, where economics is about long-term time frames and benefiting the community. And this is why it's so critical for mothers to be mothers. How do men function? Come on, guys. It's short term, right? Doesn't take much, right? You can get a woman pregnant in what? 5 minutes. Short-term time frames for self-indulgence, self-pleasure. Chromaticus. But the woman, she's pregnant. What does this mean for her? 9 months and a lifetime. A woman, by the way she's been built, must think of others. And she must have long-term time frames. And if women are not mothering, where are the virtues of community? Where are the virtues of long-term time frames to create a society that will have a growing, healthy economy? So the way we are structured today undermines what it means to be a woman and undermines what it means to be a mother. Ann Crittenden, in her book, The Price of Motherhood, says this: if most of our national prosperity reflects the productivity of our human capital, then the people who provide primary care to children are the single most important source of our most valuable economic assets. Conscientious mothers are key players in the drama of economic growth, the stars who never receive top billing. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. We'll stop there and take some questions.